So somebody that grew up like that, like Tut Tarantino, in a gated community, probably should have took a different path. I mean, your daddy's Michael Irvin.
Now this caught me off guard, but I want to say it's a good thing. So the playmaker, Michael Irvin.
Yes, sir.
He was on Undisputed. And he
I remember when he was here in the club having a good time.
Sure was.
Mike be having a good time.
Yeah, he do.
Cocaine.
Shout out to the Cowboys.
Don't do that.
Had on a fur coat, had something nice with him.
Hey,
Listen,
a few
Mike,
of them.
First of all, Mike is like that. So let's super legend.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Let's
Absolutely.
not get it twisted.
The lure is true.
Yeah.
Mike. Now he didn't change. Mike didn't come on around. No, don't look at me like that, Jay Moore.
Oh, no, I was going to say, the only thing I was going to say is shout out to Mike for actually standing up for himself.
Nah, straight up.
Facts.
When he had them accusations and actually, because NFL Network let him go and all this other stuff, and come to find out that girl was lying.
But bro, he was on Undisputed. He brought up his sons, and this was his son's rap career in the conversation. And he says, I got a son, he raps. His rap name is Tut Tarantino. I hope I pronounced that right.
I don't.
As if you ever listen to some of his raps, I'm like, oh my God, where does this come from, son? You grew up in a gated community your whole life, but he's
You gotta
rapping.
say it like him. Your whole life.
Oh, I'm gonna do it again.
There you go.
You grew up in a gated community your whole life,
There you go.
but you're rapping my life because we romanticize and fantasize about the old thug life, ghetto life, all of that stuff. We used to work to get away from it. Now we've gotten to a place somehow where we're running back towards it in music and everything. So is he putting his son on blast, or
That's
is he
what he gets.
or is he telling the truth? Because
He's telling the truth.
low key, this is a message that maybe some people need to hear. Or am I tripping?
You're not tripping. And I'm gonna say this from somebody that actually grew up in
Now this is a father talking about his son who's
I know.
aspiring rapper.
I know.
Okay.
It's always the opposite though. So
Okay.
I'm from the hood or whatnot, grew up there, whatever. People like us, we were trying to get out and make, you know what I'm saying, be different versus, and this was happening back then. It would be people you went to school with that were not from any kind of neighborhood but wanted to claim this, that, and the other because it made them feel, I don't know, tougher or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Yep.
It's some kind of weird dichotomy that people try to grasp onto a life that they know nothing about because it's kind of fantasized and romanticized. But in our reality, it's not cool. I knew people that lived in crack houses, like some of my friends, and you go over their house, you like, this is crazy. Like they're catching the bus and going to school with you every day, and they live in a literal crack house. So they come home and people are in there that they know nothing about, and they're just doing what they're doing.
Right.
So people like that grew up in gated communities and want to act like this is glamorous and this is that. It really ain't, man. Because once they actually get a taste and see what that is, and usually when that happens is when it comes to gunplay. When they find out what this,
how they're not built.
Exactly,
So-
how they're not built. That's when they find out, and sometimes it's too late.
So I'm just gonna take from what you just said. Sounds like you on Mike's side in terms of him putting a message out there about how that really ain't it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Because why would you rap about some stuff that you have nothing to do with? Like he said, you grew up in a gated community. Gated means you're shielded from whatever is going on outside.
The reason I'm asking you this is because when I know with your story, I know your story is authentic, so you can speak from that. What I'm saying is you'll see the opposite. You'll see, well, Mike shouldn't do that to his son because his son is trying to aspire, he's an aspiring rapper, and it might take his credibility away, and it might pull from who he's going to be.
He needs to
you
be
see what
more
I'm saying?
like he needs to be more like T.I.'s son. You know what I'm
Except
saying?
we're getting them teeth.
Well, not that one.
Why we?
He got two other sons that rap. Well,
Oh.
one of them does rap. One of them do country music.
Okay.
But
Talented, too.
Damani's
Damani's
cold.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Damani's cold, but he doesn't rap about, and he's not fantasizing his daddy's life.
Damani's cold.
He's just a talented individual that's trying to get his music out there. So his son, Michael Irvin's son, we wouldn't even know nothing about Tut Tarantino unless his daddy brought him up. So he actually should be giving his daddy some props for him telling people about who he is.
What you think, Jay?
Look, man, I hope more family members come out and expose the people in their family rapping about that gangster life who really grew up in a nice situation. I grew up in a really nice Huxtable type situation.
That's awesome.
And the thing is, like, but everybody in my family didn't.
Right.
And I don't want to romanticize anything that they went through that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I would not trade places with them even to pretend, and so this young man, I don't know if maybe he doesn't have the artistic expression to try to find a way to talk about something other than what he's heard. Because once again, as much as I loved NWA and Mobb Deep and all these I couldn't really relate to what they was talking about. I could relate more to like De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. Not that they came up in super rich situations, but they almost rapped with a more middle class sensibility than people who was just talking about the street life.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this young man we're talking about him now only because his father decided to say, yo, Tut Tarantino, that's not how you grew up.
Yeah, his algorithm totally switched. His daddy did him a favor, actually.
But at the same time, you got to understand, like, I grew up in a nice situation and I didn't have a gate. So when you talking about, grew up in a gated community, that means that's about 4 or 5 steps up from how I grew up. And I grew up very Huxtable.
Where Tut grew up at, you got to put a code in to get in there.
You got to put a code in. He's riding around the neighborhood in a golf cart. That type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Automatically had a finished basement and good Christmases.
Ain't nobody serving on nobody's corner.
Well, I was a little shocked that the number, it wasn't down, it was kind of more down the middle than one side or the other, because to Terry's point, sometimes this needs to be brought out. This needs to be talked about, because we know plenty of artists, and we've seen it, we grew up seeing the stories and stuff, and people just coming out saying they're one thing and we know it's not. But I did, that other side of it where it's like, man, you might crush these young fellas.
Listen, man.
That's okay.
That's what I'm coming along.
People on the outside looking in are trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to get to where you're at.
Right.
Where you started from.
Right.
Yeah, where you started from.
Compared to some people, like, you were born on third base when I'm trying to hit a triple.
Come on, man.
At the end of the day, he got a hell of a lob. I didn't know nothing about him. Didn't know anything about his name.
There's somebody out there that is being considered the GOAT right now.
Mm-hmm.
That came up pretty freaking well.
Yeah.
He goes by the name of Drake.
Yeah. I mean, think of this little white dude named Little Mabu or whatever his name is. Like, he's the same way. He was a rich kid in New York.
Mm-hmm.
He just did a record with Chrissy on Rock.
Oh, I'm sleep.
Oh,
I'm
that
sleep.
dude, yeah.
I'm sleep.
Look, a lot of you have to understand, I know you grew up listening to a certain kind of hip hop, but being a criminal is not a prerequisite to being an artist.
It's not.
And y'all need to stop with that. Because a lot, like I've told people maybe on this podcast where it's like, look, when Nelly came out, they talked about how he played baseball and he was recruited and that. Nelly was in these streets. They didn't talk about that till like maybe 4 or 5 albums in.
Until the MTV Behind the Music came out.
Yeah, until then it was like, oh, look at these guys.
Because I wouldn't have known until I saw that.
I knew his first commercial release.
If you really listen,
If you really listen to that song, he's really on some street stuff.
I didn't catch it early, but once somebody pointed it out, to your point, I didn't catch it early. I ain't gonna cap, but you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
He was actually the money man. He wasn't even supposed to be the one out in front. It's just that he ended up the one that had to take that opportunity because
easy.
Yeah.
I'll make sure. Yeah. Hey, Ali, Jay Moore,
man.
Ali tell a different story, man. Look, I know you know, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, like it was supposed to be the group.
Yeah.
But they were like, hey, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the thing that he's got under his eye.
The Band-Aid.
That's it.
That's
it.
Yeah. And so,
shout out to Murphy Leo. That's a good brother. Met that brother. He's cool. That's actually good.
But he doesn't have a Band-Aid.
He didn't have a Band-Aid when I met him, but
shouts to Nelly and his Band-Aid. Sometimes you need a Band-Aid.
So somebody that grew up like that, like Tut Tarantino, in a gated community, you probably should have took a different path. I mean, your daddy's Michael Irvin. He probably could have set you up real nice with a good job.
He probably is set up real nice.
He
probably has a good job.
Yeah.
Imagine like Shador Sanders trying to talk about
he's probably one of them kids
comparison.
that he's still being funded by his parents, but he just can't get right.
Yeah, it's possible.
You know, Clarence had good parents.
Clarence had good parents.
Yeah.